Also, Kyle Schwarber reportedly back to the Phillies. Our general manager interview is presented by Sage, president of baseball operations for the New York Mets. David Stearns joins us now. David, great having you here on the set.
Thank you, BK. Thanks.
So what's new? Anything new?
It's been quiet.
Yeah. How much?
Quiet day, right?
Yeah. Now, again, these things aren't official, but you tell me. You're a big game hunter these days. Your thoughts about Schwarber on the market and your former closer Edwin Diaz on the market?
Yeah. So obviously, I've seen the reports. Given that nothing's official, I'm not going to comment on anything specific. But clearly, there's movement here. Clearly, there's a lot of conversations, and that's good for the industry.
Okay. Your thoughts on where you are coming off last season, the disappointment, just missing off on the playoffs, and where you want to be headed?
Yeah, we got to be better. I mean, we had a disappointing end to the season. We had a great first half, played very well, and had a really bad last 2 months. And we missed the playoffs, and we deserve to miss the playoffs. And so we got to be better. We got to be better keeping runs off the board. A big part of that is defense. We were not a very good defensive team to end the year, and we think we're already taking steps to improve that, and we're looking forward to continuing to go in that direction.
Well, let's talk about something you can talk about. Devin Williams. You jumped out early on him. Why? And was that a hedge against the possibility of not re-signing Edwin Diaz?
Look, I know Devin very well. I've seen him as one of the, if not the best relievers in all of baseball. And the more we looked at him, the more we examined his 2025 season, it looked a lot like the same guy who was the best, if not one of the best, relievers in all of baseball. And so we're thrilled to be able to bring him in. We know he's the type of guy who can go get you the last 3 outs of a game. He's proven that. He's proven that in big spots, in pressure situations. And so we're excited to bring him in. I think for us, it was great to see a guy who went through the ups and downs of New York and was really excited to come back to New York. And that was exciting for us to see, and we're thrilled that we were able to bring him in.
You've already made a big trade earlier on, getting rid of a fan favorite in Brandon Nimmo, but I want to talk about the guy you got in Marcus Semien. Why was he so intriguing to you, and what are you looking forward to having him in 2026?
Yeah, a couple of things about Marcus. The first is he's one of the best defensive infielders in our game, and he's still one of the best defensive infielder in our game. We get to plug him into a position where at times last year defensively we weren't as good as we needed to be. The second is we still think there's more in there offensively. We think there's some things that he's working on that if he continues to work on can get closer to who he was just a couple of years ago, where he was one of the best all-around players in the game. And then finally, we're bringing in someone to our team who cares a tremendous amount about winning, who knows how to work, and we think adding that type of winning presence to our clubhouse can only be a positive.
Let me dive into that a little bit more in terms of Marcus offensively and what you saw there, because you know aging curves for mid-30s middle infielders, not great. Why do you make this bet that he can get back to that all-star level?
Yeah, I think as we can evaluate hitters now, there's so much information about how their swing is working and the granular information about what they're doing with their swing now that maybe was a little bit differently than they were doing a couple of years ago. And look, that requires work and it requires change, but I think Marcus is very invested in doing everything he can to get back to the level where he was an MVP candidate. Yes, aging curves eventually catch up to everyone. We know that. But I also think there's more in there than maybe we've seen from Marcus the last couple of years.
Yeah, that's a good player, right? And all around the game, it's a good dude. It's a winning player. But that's a gutsy trade, right? Why? Why Nimmo for Semien?
Yeah, I think it's for some of the reasons we just talked about. It allowed us to improve defensively at an area we needed to improve defensively. Allowed us to acquire a player we're excited about acquiring. And then we also have a lot of outfielders coming in our system behind Brandon Nimmo, and this allows us to free up some space for them. And so when we talk about guys like Carson Bedge, when we talk about guys like Ryan Clifford, Jet Williams, A.J. Ewing, some really talented players who are right on the doorstep of the major leagues, to be able to open up some space in the outfield over the next 5 years, we thought was important. And this was one way to do it.
I want to just get, Case, let me just jump in. You're a Met fan, right? So you understand the Met fan base. So now Nimmo is traded, again, homegrown guy, great attitude. Pete Alonso is still out there. What is your mindset? How dispassionate can you be, or not dispassionate can you be about fan favorites in the Met fan base?
Yeah, so I think fan favorites, what players mean to our fans, what players mean to the organization, has to be part of our decision-making process. It cannot be the exclusive part of our decision-making process,
right.
but it has to be part of it. And I absolutely understand our fans are going to get attached to players who have performed in big markets.
And that's the point.
That is the point.
Right.
I also think we have a lot of really good players coming who our fans are also going to get attached to. And I think our fans ultimately get attached to winning, and it's our job to put the best product on the field we possibly can, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Well, when I look at that rotation coming up and so many good young pitchers that came up at the end there, but Nolan McLean really stuck out. I mean, just really efficient in the zone, felt like his confidence was at a level that he could pitch up here. What did you see from him, and did you expect him to come up and dominate the way he did?
I think we saw incredible poise.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the most notable thing we saw. We knew he had the stuff, and I think the league knows he has the stuff. To see someone come up in a pennant race in New York with that level of poise, he was basically pitching at the front of our rotation from the moment we called him up and did an outstanding job. So the ceiling for him is incredibly high. It's very exciting where he is in his career, and to see him hopefully for a full season at the major league level now, I think he's going to continue to open a lot of eyes.
Where specifically do you think the Mets have to be better in 26 than they were in 25? Off the top of my head, I think about on the run prevention side, marrying the pitching and the defense, playing up there. As the president of baseball ops, where do you want to see the most improvement?
Yeah, I think you hit it. I do think it's on that side of the ball. I think as I've reflected a lot on our season, we had a talented team that over the last 2 months of the year, we frankly did a lot of things to help us lose baseball games. And we've got to clean that up. And part of that is personnel. And we're working on that throughout this offseason to put together a team that is both talented and then does the little things well to help win games.
Now, I know you have to concentrate on what you're doing, so I know that. But you are in your own hedge fund league. How aware are you of what the Dodgers are doing on a week-to-week basis?
Look, I think if we remain focused on how to build the best version of the Mets, both this year and going forward, so that we can compete at the highest level possible, we are going to be just fine. We understand there are other really well-run organizations out there. The Dodgers probably chief among them right now. But if we get caught trying to chase them or react to every little thing they do, that's going to be a disservice to us.
How about big things they do? Right, I mean that's right. But the big things you have to be aware. Again, you're playing at that same level. How aware are you of? They just got another big time guy.
We know they're really good, and they've proven over the last decade in baseball now that they are at the top of our industry. And so our goal is to ultimately supplant them up there. And I think the best way for us to do that is to focus on each and every decision. What is the best decision for the New York Mets, rather than trying to react to maybe what some of our competitors are doing.
Well, look, for a long time, we just had Eric Neander up here, and throughout the industry, it was when a trade was made, either by you with the Brewers or Eric Neander with the Rays, you're like, uh-oh, what do they see in that guy? So there is something about the industry of saying, what are they up to, because they're leading the industry.
Sure. I think we're always curious about what our competitors are doing, and you do try to learn from your competitors a little bit. You do try to understand if someone is seeing something a little bit differently than you're seeing it. Absolutely. I think there's a difference between doing that and then becoming reactionary based on what one or two teams are doing ahead of you.
Okay. I'm just wondering, does he have a Dodger dartboard that he's just throwing?
You're just peppering him
with
with questions, and I think he's, saying that you got to focus on the Mets process, and stay in their lane.
He should be completely obsessed by chasing down and hunting the Dodgers, is what I'm saying.
Captain Ahab.
Must break the Dodgers. Come on, he thinks that way. He thinks that way. He can't tell us, but he thinks that way. Don't you think?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he does.